The reason I'm talking about this is because when I saw Global tweet about this, I don't take anything they say as gospel, right? And then in one of the articles it said, but there's a recount with scrutineers, and the scrutineers are conservative and NDP. So is that
Yes.
true? There was a mix of
Yep.
people. Okay.
Yeah, there were 9 tables for the recount here. Each table had two BC election people counting, and then they had one NDP and one conservative scrutineer. So basically, they would get their box, open the box, and basically they would show the ballot to the 2 scrutineers. So they would hold up the ballot, say the name that was on it, show the back as well, and then they would put it into the piles.
Like you're in a room, it's one NDP, one conservative, and 2 kind of official elections people.
Yes, counting. Like they were the ones opening the boxes because the scrutineers couldn't touch the ballots or anything like that.
Oh, the scrutineers couldn't touch the ballots. So the elections officials open the boxes, they count. Once they get to 25, they stop. Sorry, can you say that part again? Sorry.
Yeah, they just stop and then recount that pile to make sure that they are at 25.
Okay.
For that person. Does that make sense?
Yes. And then what do you guys do? What do you guys do?
The scrutineers, they keep track as well. So you basically have like 4 people keeping, like one person calling up the ballots, the other person writing it down. They have little box squares that they fill out for each one. And then the 2 scrutineers would basically keep track with tick marks, right? To make sure that it was on par. Yeah.
Okay.
The mail-in ballots were a little annoying because the mail-in ballots or the special voting ballots kind of came in separately. So we had a couple of tables that would get like one envelope might be like one ballot from a different district or like 89 ballots from a different district, right? So it was a little slower on that front.
How did they decide that they had to do a recount there? Is that because there was a discrepancy, or how is that even figured out that they're like, oh, we messed up in Prince George Mackenzie, messed up in Surrey Guildford, and messed up in Kelowna? They somehow figure that out.
Kelowna and Surrey Guildford, it's the only reason why they did the recounts is because if they're 1 in 500, like percentage points between the 2, then it's an automatic judicial recount. So there was a judge there as well as 2 lawyers for the NDP and 1 lawyer for the Conservative Party.
Well, and did the judge should be impartial, but do you know if he had any political affiliation?
I honestly, I don't know. She seemed very nice.
Okay.
Personable.
Cool. And
I honestly don't know if she was one way or the other.
Okay. Okay, because what I heard about the judge, Kevin Liu in Surrey Guildford, he was appointed by David Lametti back in 22. And David Lametti is such good friends with Trudeau, and he's Asian. Not that matters, but there is all that. David Eby has these affiliations with the CCS 100. Yeah. So and he gave them money. It's not a good. The optics of that Surrey Guildford one are not good. Generally speaking, you get in the room, you do the recount. It seemed all up and up. And when you count,
there were sheriffs there as well. Yeah.
How did you get this job? Or not job, or do you just apply? Do you get paid?
I just volunteer. I had been volunteering for them since right at the beginning. So
nice.
Or for her since right at the beginning. So.
And so to your mind, you recounted as like, fine. It was all on the up and up.
The tabulators were bang on.
Wow, those vote tabulators, the ones that we shoved. I did a story on that. Oh, okay, so they were bang on.
All the ballot boxes where the tabulators did it, they were bang on. The mail-ins and all those were bang on as well, except when you get into a judicial recount, it's a little bit different because things can get interpreted differently. I'm not sure how to explain it. Like the written mail-in ballots were the ones the lawyers were most on. Because if you were going to contest anything, those were the ones that they were going to contest, right? How people wrote stuff in, if they put in the wrong candidate, not the proper part. Do you know what I mean? Like 2 ballots ended up getting thrown out because someone had put in the handwritten one the wrong, like they put the Conservative Party, but they didn't put the proper candidate in.
Oh
And that
no.
apparently was a ruling from 2020 that even if the intention is there, if they put in the wrong candidate, it doesn't.
Oh no, it kind of makes the mail-in. Oh no, that's really interesting. It makes the mail-in ballot null and void in a sense, because
Yes.
let's say you put Conservative, but you write the wrong person. The ballot, they're like, well, we don't know, so this is a non-count, non-vote.
Yes.
Oh no.
And I did notice too, it was really funny. There were a couple that people like literally, and I don't understand why people would do this. They stood in line, they went in to vote, but they purposely spoiled their ballots.
Huh? Oh.
Like they would mark all 4 people, or they'd write something on it, like trying to give an example here. Like I think somebody put like no confidence. I'm like, why would you stand in line to write that?
I think it's like that rebellious spirit. Like people are like, I'm going to vote, but I'm going to maybe muck this up on purpose, or like I know it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't help anything.
A lot of what I'm noticing is kind of almost human error. Like we shouldn't have done the vote anywhere. I think logistically that just messed up a lot of things. That whole vote anywhere.
Oh, you mean when
wherever in the province, right? Like if you were in Williams Lake and you actually live in Kelowna Centre, you could vote in their electoral office. Well, logistically, now they have to mail all of those back to Victoria, right?
Yeah.
So that's what took so long, is basically every riding would have to take those ballots that they got from out of riding, separated them into the proper ridings, and then ship them to Victoria to be counted.
Oh my goodness.
Specific, right? Like that was dumb in my viewpoint. Logistically, that's just, I mean, if you've been in administration or anything like that and never had to do logistic type stuff, like that logistically right there is a nightmare.
Yeah, like let's pretend I live in Burnaby and then I happen to be traveling and I'm in Kamloops and I go to my local thing, and then does that mean I could vote for my Burnaby guy? And then so that just adds on. Okay. And a lot of people voted for the advanced voting because people are so excited and people are so emotional about this vote. So that just added to the delay. But because I don't know much about this, had we done this in years past? No.
This is the first year, I believe, of the vote anywhere. I knew you could vote anywhere in the riding for years past, but I think this is the first year they've done
like this,
like the whole province. And I know they're trying to make it more accessible, but then you're just creating more problems.
So in the end, in your opinion, that added big delays. Like, yeah. And do you think, and more potential for human error?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And can I ask you, do you know if people could, there's some scuttlebutt and people were upset that people could take boxes home, election officials. What do you think of that?
My understanding is we've been doing that for years, actually.
I think I heard that too. Yeah.
But only in rural, it only happens in rural communities. So say you're riding because in the smaller towns, usually a riding is like not just the one town, right? Like it's a much larger area.
Yeah.
So they've been taking them home, like they're sealed and everything like that. And the supervisor, the main EO officer, would take them home because they have to be off site. But you can't get to the EO office because it might be the next town over, right? Okay. So you can't just drive them over unless you want to take like 2 hours to get there. Do I agree with that? Maybe not so much now, because there's more, like in years past, I don't think anybody noticed until this, like it was mentioned.
Yeah.
But no one was really paying attention before that it was a big deal before. Yeah. But now that people are paying attention, maybe there is something we look at, like maybe it gets taken to a sheriff's station then. In a locked room with a camera or something, right?
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah. I mean, like people throwing them in the trunk of their car after the end of a long workday, taking them home. I get it, but no, that's probably not what should be protocol.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so in your opinion, do you think that so after having done all this, your opinion is, do you accept the Surrey Guilford recount?
From what I understand, yes. Do I like it? No.
Yeah.
Do I find that mail-in ballots totally swayed probably more to the NDP at a higher number, which seemed a little off? But they do check them, right? Like they check them next to if you voted previously, you know, if you
Yeah.
mailed it in and then went into the office. Like they do check that, right?
Okay.
So it's hard to say. Like, do you think someone purposely, malfeasantly cheated? I don't know. Do I think it's more likely humans mess up? Because even after sitting in that room the entire day, people were running on fumes by 5:30, right? Like they started at 9:30. Everyone's sitting in the same spots for like, other than an hour lunch break.
Yeah.
Ticking, going through ballots. Like it's pretty monotonous. And I think by 5:30, people are like, I just want out of here.
Because it's not that stimulating, because you are just literally counting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I am heartened to hear that you thought the tabulators did a good job, because
they were all bang on. The counts were all bang on.
So they
those ones.
matched what the humans counted.
Yeah.
Who's more accurate? Humans.
Again, yeah. I think the tabulators were actually more accurate.
I can see that.
They're not voting machines here, though. And I think a lot of people got that confused. Like, they're literally counters. Like, you still do the paper ballot. And the paper ballot is still great because in case of a recount like this, you can just rip out the boxes and recount them. Basically, they were counters. It's not like the States where you get the full voting machine and you press on the name or whatever. I think there's that can be
the touch screens.
But these tabulators were pretty much, you fill in the ballot, it counts. It's a counter. It's
okay. That makes sense, and that makes sense. And it's so funny. We have these counters that are just machines. They said not hooked up to the internet. Okay, so great. So it counted it. Fair enough. That's fine. But isn't it funny how it was like, oh, it was November 7th or 8th that they figured this out, whereas the U.S. could figure out Trump overnight. How do you think they do that?
I agree. And I think it's that vote anywhere. Like, I don't think in the U.S. you could vote anywhere. I think you had to either go to your polling station or your station in your area, right?
I think so.
Whereas here, I think logistically that, as well as in the phone voting too, which I hear there wasn't that much of this time around. And I think it's because a lot of people didn't really know about it.
And is that new? The phone voting?
That is new. Yeah. Yep, that is completely new.
So we did a lot of new things.
I know a couple people that had helped somebody else do it, and they were very thorough for what I was told, just in regards to you have to be disabled or you have to have a really good reason for not being able to make it to the polling station. You give your name, all your information, and then apparently it goes to a second person. The second person then rattles off your riding candidates. You tell them which one you want. And then apparently it goes to a third person, where that third person reiterates all your information and then repeats back to you who you voted for.
Okay.
To confirm it. However, again, that's still open for
debate. Yeah.
Right? What if you have somebody else's driver's license? What if like you're taking a lot of things on faith, I think, on phone voting.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's a great idea. Like, I get,
I get it.
Argue for blind people, whatever. But we had that many issues in the past where blind people couldn't vote.
Yeah. I mean,
we can drive you to the polling station.
That's right.
Pretty much every campaign has the option of, like, it's get out the vote, right? Most of them have setups where they'll go pick people up. If you want to phone in and say, I can't get a ride to the polling station, people will go pick you up.
That's see, that's good. That's good. And also blind people are very resourceful. They're amazing how organized they are and how they figure things out in life, and braille, and we should have all that set up and what have you. Like that shouldn't be an issue, but that's
And
really
if you're going out of country or anything like that, you know you're going out of country.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be allowed to phone in, grab an absentee ballot. That's how we've done that in the past. I'm going to be out of the country for the next 6 months. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to grab an absentee ballot.
Yeah.
And send it in.
You mean I could have been on vacation in Mexico and then like phoned in my vote?
Yep.
It almost in a weird way, it's like they tried to do everything they could to help. Oh, early voting, advanced voting, vote no matter where you live. You can vote in, you know what I mean? Like, and do the mail in, do the phone call. But by doing all that, it just is more error, more muck ups, and it took more time. When rather if we could just kept it simple, we wouldn't have had these problems, I think. Yeah. So
that's how I looked at it, especially after sitting in that room, because I was also very skeptical at the beginning, especially when I saw those mail-in ballots. I was like, what's happening?
But that was absolutely fascinating to hear. I'm so glad that I spoke to you and you told me this. Like this is amazing. Like it's like such an inside thing. Like you are a scrutineer. Like that is so cool that you got to see the process, because there's so much scuttlebutt and rumor and people don't feel sure and people don't trust.
Well, that's exactly it. And I honestly think everyone should, become a volunteer then, or, look into it more, or go be a scrutineer for a team and check it out.
Yeah.
See what it's like.
It made me want to too. Yeah. But you're making me feel better in that it is what it is. I'm a little concerned about the Surrey Guildford stuff and EB's connections, because that needs to be looked at. And as a candidate, as a premier, I think he should be disqualified.
I actually kind of agree with you with just in regards to what's come out. Funny enough, since the election, I think that information should have been out to the public to kind of discern for themselves.
That's right. That's
However, that did not happen, and it seems to be getting suppressed again.
That's right. And they can just noodle their way in again, yet again, another sort of like duck and cover, and boom, they get in. Like,
But
like.
Think of it this way now. Yes, okay, it's a slim majority. Like this is almost like a warning to them, like one more screw up. And plus they still have to give a speaker. So that puts them to 46, because none of the Conservative Party is agreeing to become a speaker. None of the Greens are agreeing to become a speaker. That means they're going to have to give up one of their guys, like one of their seats.
That's what that means, right? If somebody becomes a speaker, then they become a neutral person and a seat is lost. Oh,
they can't vote. I think they can tie break, but I don't think they can be part of committees or anything like that. So,
well, then it's kind of unfair, right? Like, what would be a fair way to get a speaker? Like, I don't, like I don't get it. Like, get an independent then to be the speaker or something.
I kind of agree. I'm not sure why our parliament's built like that, but that's unfortunately how it's built. And I'm not sure. And if they had more of a majority, I'm sure it's obviously it wouldn't be a big deal. But one person pretty much becomes speaker in their party. Either all of their party always has to be out of voting. Like nobody could be missing. Yeah.
And with it so tight like this, nobody wants to give up a seat, a vote, a count, nothing. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this was fascinating. Thank you so much.